Can I ask you a question that might save your life before 3 feet of snow buries half of North America? Stick with me, and in just a moment, I will show you exactly when the rain turns into dangerous ice. A few minutes later, we'll look at which 3 areas are facing a total collapse of their infrastructure. And halfway through, I'm sharing a survival secret that 90% of people miss, but it could protect your family. Listen, this isn't just a weather update. I am genuinely worried about what is coming our way. Right now, a massive storm is exploding over the Great Lakes with the power of a Category 2 hurricane. The pressure is dropping fast, down 21 millibars in just 24 hours. To put it simply, it is like a weather bomb going off in slow motion. Even the experts haven't seen warnings this severe for this time of year before. We are watching weather patterns shatter records that have stood for 100 years. Let me paint a picture for you, because what is coming will honestly shock you. We are talking about 3 feet of snow piling up across eastern Ontario and western Quebec in just 2 days. Imagine looking out your window and seeing the snow piled all the way to the top of the glass. Friends in Marquette, Michigan, you could see another 2 feet on top of what is already there. But here's the thing that really scares me. It is not just the snow. New England is forecasted to get 3/4 of an inch of ice, and that is terrifying. Just a 1/4 inch is enough to shut down a whole city. 1/2 inch snaps power lines and blocks roads for weeks. But 3/4, that means everything breaks. Picture millions of families sitting in the dark, freezing, with no way to heat their homes. Hospitals running on backup generators and water pipes freezing solid. This is the kind of storm that takes lives, and it is aiming for where most of us live. Please listen closely, because this info will change how you get ready for winter. That mess hitting the West Coast right now is just the opening act. The mountains out there are already buried under 6 feet of snow. But that energy is about to crash into some incredibly cold Arctic air. When those two meet over the Great Lakes, the reaction is going to be explosive. By tomorrow morning, Monday, December 29th, this storm gets mean. Come Monday evening, it is going to throw everything it has at the Northeast. Tuesday turns into a nightmare as the full force hits our neighborhoods. And the worst part is simply the timing of it all. This isn't happening on a quiet day when we are all safe at home. It is hitting right as everyone is traveling back from the holidays. Millions of you will be on the road, driving straight into a dangerous trap. Major highways like I-80, 90, and 95 will likely turn into frozen parking lots. Let me ask you a favor. Do you have a real emergency kit in your car right now? I don't mean just a scraper, but actual gear to keep you alive. 73% of winter deaths happen in vehicles, and I want you to be safe. If you get stuck, the cold can become dangerous in just 2 hours. You can't run your engine forever to stay warm. And carbon monoxide is a silent killer that we often forget about. Let's break down the timeline hour by hour so you can prepare properly. Monday morning might start off looking deceptively calm. Light snow begins in Wisconsin and Michigan around 9 in the morning. But by noon, it is going to come down hard and fast. Have you ever noticed how quickly a quiet Monday afternoon can turn into total chaos? We are looking at warm air sitting right on top of the cold, creating the perfect recipe for an ice storm here in the Northeast. Raindrops from those warmer clouds hits the freezing air below and gets super cooled in an instant. As soon as that water hits anything, your car, the sidewalk, it turns into a solid sheet of ice. By the time Monday evening rolls around, folks in New England will be calling for help that just can't get to them. The roads are going to be like skating rinks, stopping ambulances and fire trucks dead in their tracks. Out in the country, power lines are going to start snapping like twigs under all that heavy ice. Come Tuesday morning, the city centers are going to feel the full force of this beast. From Boston to Montreal, millions of us are going to wake up to a world that looks completely different. Big old trees that have been around forever are going to crack right down the middle from the weight. Our power grid just isn't built for this kind of ice, and it is going to crash hard. Even the cell towers will freeze over, leaving us without a signal to check in on each other. Then the real cold shows up, locking everything down in a deep, shivering freeze. We are talking single digits, folks, and millions of you won't have any heat to fight it. That is the moment this stops being just weather and starts being a real crisis for our families. But listen, it does not end there. This storm is just the opening act. The jet stream is buckling, trapping us in what feels like an Arctic siege. High pressure is parking itself over the Arctic, and it plans to stay there for weeks. The atmosphere is basically rearranging itself to hit us with wave after wave of freezing air. January 2026 might go down in history as one of the coldest months we have ever seen. By the second week, the Midwest could see temps dropping lower than anything since that polar vortex back in 2014. Imagine wind chills getting close to minus 60 degrees Fahrenheit. That is bone chilling. At that point, your skin can freeze in less than 5 minutes if you are outside. Your car probably won't start, and your furnace is going to struggle just to keep the house warm. Week 3 looks like another big storm might roll up from Texas towards the Great Lakes. This could mean another round of heavy snow and crippling ice for the Ohio Valley and Northeast. By the 4th week, the coldest air of the season hits, and we might even see snow down south. Places like Texas and the Carolinas that hardly ever get snow could see a serious pileup. This is exactly the kind of weather pattern that shuts down whole states for days at a time. Now, let me share a secret that 90% of folks don't realize about these storms. The scariest part isn't the falling ice. It is the 48 hours right after it stops. Believe it or not, that quiet time after the storm is when we lose the most people. Carbon monoxide poisoning from trying to stay warm actually takes more lives than the cold does. Folks get desperate and bring grills or generators inside, and that is a fatal mistake. Please never use those outdoor heaters inside your house or garage, no matter how cold it gets. That gas has no smell or color, and it will take you silently while you are sleeping. If the power goes out, pile on the clothes, shut the doors to empty rooms, and huddle up together. Your combined body heat in a small space can keep everyone safe for days. Keep a hand crank radio nearby so you know what's happening when the phones die. Make sure you have a week's supply of water stored up just in case the pipes freeze. You need at least 1 gallon for every person each day, plus extra for washing up. Stock up on easy food like peanut butter and crackers, stuff you don't need to cook. Don't forget your meds, flashlights, batteries, and as many extra blankets as you can find. Throw a survival kit in your car with warm clothes, snacks, water, and a shovel. Pack some kitty litter for traction, jumper cables, and a battery pack to keep things charged. Ever wondered what actually keeps you safe when the roads get bad? Please, tell a friend your plans and stick to the main highways where help is close. If you do get stuck, stay right there with your car. Rescuers can spot a vehicle way easier than a person wandering alone. You can run the heat, but only for 10 minutes each hour to save gas and keep the air safe to breathe. Just make sure to clear the snow off the tailpipe and crack a window so you get some fresh air. You know, we really need to chat about how this weather is going to hit our wallets. Believe it or not, ice storms wreck budgets harder than almost anything else besides a massive hurricane. Remember back in 1998? That freeze cost folks in Canada and New England over $3 billion. Well, this one looks even scarier because it is aiming for way more crowded spots with heavier ice. We aren't talking a few days in the dark. Getting the lights back on could take weeks. The repair crews can't even touch those lines until the ice melts, which needs a good stretch of warm days. But with that freezing Arctic air chasing this storm, we won't be seeing a thaw anytime soon. When the trucks stop rolling and the fridges die, food is going to get scarce fast. Our whole delivery system relies on perfect timing, so one snag brings the whole thing crashing down. Your local market could be completely bare within just 72 hours of the first flake falling. It gets scary for pharmacies losing cold meds and hospitals dealing with a flood of emergencies. With schools shut down and parents stuck at home, everything just grinds to a halt. Usually these insurance claims are huge, like needing a whole new roof or rewiring the entire house. Most of our homes just weren't built to hold up that much heavy ice and snow. Here is the kicker. Your standard home policy might cap what they pay for ice damage. If the roof caves in, you could be stuck paying a huge chunk of the repair bill yourself. Do me a favor and snap photos of everything right now so you have proof later. Can I let you in on something the news usually skips over about how these weather patterns stick? Once these blocks get settled in the jet stream, they basically feed on themselves to stay put. All that snow piling up in Canada acts like a giant mirror, reflecting the sun and keeping everything freezing. It starts a cycle that can drag on for months, not just a couple of weeks. We haven't seen a setup this nasty since that brutal winter back in 1977. That year, the bone-chilling cold didn't let up from December all the way through March. Folks across the continent dealt with gas shortages, sky-high bills, and things breaking down left and right. I hate to say it, but we might be staring down the barrel of a repeat performance. And honestly, our power grids are way more delicate today than they were back in the 70s. When solar panels get buried and wind turbines freeze up, those power sources just can't keep up. Everyone cranks the heat at once, putting massive pressure on the gas pipelines. To keep the whole system from crashing, they have to start cutting power on purpose. We all saw what happened in Texas in 2021 when the grid met a real freeze. The scary part is at this time, it could hit the whole eastern half of the continent. You need to brace yourself for some seriously steep heating bills this season. Try to set aside extra cash because your utilities might cost double or even triple the usual. It is smart to think about ways to stay warm that don't need the grid or gas lines. Things like wood stoves, pellets, or even propane heaters can be lifesavers if you vent them right. Just promise me you won't bring outdoor gear inside. It is just too dangerous. Let's look at how this storm is going to mess things up across the border, too. The power systems in Canada and the Northeast are tied together like a web. So if Quebec loses power from the ice, lights are going to flicker out across a bunch of states down here. Shipping goods back and forth between us and Canada is going to be a nightmare. Major crossings like the Ambassador and Peace bridges might just shut down completely for trucks. Ever wondered what happens when the factories we rely on suddenly go quiet because parts can't cross the border? We're looking at car plants in Michigan and Ontario completely stalling out for weeks. All those fresh veggies we love from the South, they're going to get stranded halfway here. And you know what that means. Grocery prices everywhere are about to shoot through the roof. But listen, let me share something that will completely change how you look at winter survival. You can actually last 3 weeks without a bite to eat and 3 days without a drop of water. But out in the freezing cold but no shelter, you've got about 3 hours tops. That's the scary math of Mother Nature, fam, and exactly why we need to get you ready. If your body temp drops just 2 degrees, say goodbye to using your hands properly. Simple stuff like zipping a coat, turning a key, or dialing 911 becomes impossible. Drop 4 degrees and your brain starts playing tricks on you. You'll start making choices that feel right, but could actually get you killed. Lose 6 degrees, that's lights out, and sadly, you won't wake up. The terrifying part is that in a bad storm, this whole nightmare takes less than 3 hours. Think of your clothes like a team. Wicking layer first, cozy insulation in the middle, and a wind blocker on top. Stay far away from cotton, guys. It holds on to sweat and freezes you to the bone. Stick to wool or synthetics. They'll keep you toasty even if they get damp. Watch out for your fingers, toes, and ears. They're the first to feel the bite. Good gloves, warm boots, and a hat aren't just nice to have, they're non-negotiable. Since 40% of your heat escapes through your head, keep that beanie on tight. Keep an eye out for the red flags in your crew, shaking, confusion, or slurring words. And if the shaking suddenly stops, that's actually dangerous. It means the body is giving up. Frostbite is nasty business. Look for skin turning waxy white or feeling hard as a rock. Whatever you do, don't rub the spot or shove it near a fire. Just use warm water to thaw it out slowly. Never hot, okay? We've got to talk about what happens in your head during these long storms, too. Being stuck in the dark and cold is a perfect recipe for feeling hopeless. If you get the winter blues, expect them to hit much harder when things get extreme. Cabin fever isn't just a saying. It's a real thing that messes with your mind. Try to keep some kind of routine going, even when everything feels upside down. Reach out to your loved ones any way you can. Just hearing a voice helps. Keep the little ones busy with games and stories so they don't get scared. You've got to watch them like a hawk since the backyard isn't safe anymore. And please, Check on your older neighbors who might be struggling on their own. They're the most vulnerable because getting around is hard and they have medical needs. When the power goes out, meds that need the fridge are in big trouble. Important stuff like insulin and heart pills can stop working if they get too warm. Call your pharmacist today and ask how to keep those supplies safe just in case. Now let me warn you about 3 spots that are looking at a total breakdown. First up, Southern Ontario and Quebec, basically the engine room of Canada. That's where 75% of the people live and where most of the power comes from. Just 3/4 of an inch of ice is enough to snap power lines like dry twigs. If the seaway freezes solid, billions of dollars in trade will be stuck on the ice. We're looking at Montreal, Ottawa, and Toronto going dark for weeks on end. And for my friends in New England, from Vermont to Maine, you're facing the same icy mess. Ever worry that our old power grid can't actually handle this much ice? If you're out in the country, those fallen trees might trap you there for weeks. For my family up in the Upper Peninsula in northern Wisconsin, please listen closely. With 2 feet of fresh powder piling up, we haven't seen snow this deep since the 1970s. Please check your roofs because that heavy snow can easily crush them. Fill up now because delivery trucks can't reach you once those roads get blocked. Did you know these few spots actually power most of the continent? Quebec usually sends electricity down to New York and New England right when they need it most. If their grid goes down, it triggers a blackout across the whole Northeast. Our military bases are there to keep us safe and help in a pinch. But if the weather traps them, it's going to take ages for help to arrive. Let me walk you through the timeline so you know exactly when to lock the doors. For my Michigan and Wisconsin folks, the snow starts Monday morning and won't quit until Wednesday. Expect the worst Monday night, with 3 to 4 inches piling up every single hour. Plows won't be able to keep up, so the roads will disappear fast. Ontario and Quebec, get ready for freezing rain from Monday afternoon through Tuesday night. Be extra careful Tuesday evening, because that's when the ice gets dangerously thick. Expect the lights to flicker out around 6 p.m. Tuesday when the lines snap. New England, your ice storm hits Tuesday morning and gets really bad by the afternoon. By evening, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine will likely be pitch black. Don't count on ambulances because the roads will be too tough for them. You'll probably lose cell service Tuesday night when the towers freeze over. Come Wednesday morning, entire towns are going to be completely cut off. But wait, it gets worse once that Arctic air chases the storm. Temperatures are going to crash 40 to 50 degrees in just 12 hours. Any slush left on the ground will instantly freeze solid as the wind howls. We're looking at a full-blown blizzard with 50-mile-per-hour winds whipping that snow around. You won't be able to see a thing, and the wind chill will be deadly. At that point, nobody can come out to rescue you. Make sure you're home by Tuesday night because you won't be leaving for a while. That bottom layer of ice isn't going to melt for weeks in this cold. Driving is going to be risky long after the snow actually stops. It's too cold for salt to work once we drop below 15 degrees. Even plowed roads will be hiding deadly black ice for weeks. We need to talk about what happens when the systems we rely on start falling apart. Losing power isn't just about the lights. It kills everything else, too. The water pumps might stop, leaving us with dry taps or dirty water. Without pumps, the sewers can back up. Nobody wants to deal with that mess. You can't pump gas without power, so don't let your tank run dry. Your cards and the ATMs won't work, so plastic is useless. If this drags on, cash is going to be the only way to buy anything. Please keep some bills in your pocket since the banks will be closed. It's scary, but essential medical gear just stops working. Things like oxygen and insulin pumps need juice, and losing them is life-threatening. Hospitals have generators, but even that fuel doesn't last forever. Have you ever stopped to think about the impossible choices hospitals face when icy roads cut off their fuel deliveries? Most people don't realize that local cell towers run on backup batteries that only last 8 to 24 hours tops. Once that juice runs out, we are talking about a total communication blackout for the entire neighborhood. Your internet isn't safe either. It goes down the moment central hubs lose power and run dry on backup fuel. Even our first responders get helpless when their radio systems fail to connect during the chaos. That is exactly why I am always begging you to have enough supplies to survive on your own for at least a week. You have to remember that a rescue team can't save you if they are stuck in the same storm you are. Can I be real with you for a second about the one thing that will actually save your life? It breaks my heart because most winter deaths could be avoided if people just kept their wits about them. We lose good people simply because they make silly mistakes in dangerous weather conditions. The biggest mistake folks make is trying to drive somewhere while the storm is raging. Listen to me closely. There is no trip on earth worth risking your life in a blizzard for. Mistake number 2 is poisoning your own family with carbon monoxide by heating the house wrong. Please keep the generators, grills, and camping stoves outside where they belong. Never bring them indoors. The third big error is freezing because you didn't wear the right gear when you had to go out. You need to dress for the brutal cold that is actually out there, not the weather you wish you had. Number 4 is missing the warning signs that your body is getting dangerously cold. When your brain starts getting foggy, you lose the ability to make the smart choices that keep you alive. Mistake 5 is climbing up on the roof to shovel snow without any safety gear. I see people falling off icy ladders every single winter, and that often ends in tragedy. And number 6, working yourself to death trying to clear the driveway too fast. Heart attacks skyrocket during these storms because people push way past their physical limits. Lifting all that heavy wet snow puts a massive amount of stress on your heart and lungs. Please take plenty of breaks, drink water, and listen to what your body is telling you. Now pull up a chair and let's chat about what this weather pattern really means for our future. You better believe insurance premiums are going to jump through the roof after this winter wraps up. Some companies might just throw in the towel and stop covering high-risk areas entirely. If you own a home in these zones, the value is going to drop because buyers are scared of the risk. Builders are going to have to toughen up their standards to handle heavier ice and snow loads. The power companies will have no choice but to spend billions making the grid stronger. And guess who pays for that? We do, with higher electric and heating bills every single month. Our emergency teams are going to need way bigger budgets and more trucks to keep up. That means higher taxes are pretty much guaranteed, so we can afford better storm responses. Our farmers are looking at losing crops and getting way behind on their planting schedules. Expect your grocery bill to climb as it gets harder to move food through this wild weather. Our roads and train tracks are going to need a massive overhaul to keep moving in the winter. Everything from bridges to airports will need better de-icing tools just to stay open. Keeping the lights on becomes a national safety issue when the weather attacks our grid. We are finding out that green energy can be tricky when the sun isn't shining and the wind is frozen. It forces us to rethink how we generate the steady base power we need to survive. It is wild how climate change hits us with baking heat one minute and deep freezes the next. The old infrastructure just wasn't built to handle this new extreme world we are living in. We are almost done here, so let me just recap the absolute must-dos for you right now. Today, Sunday, December 28th, is your final chance to get ready before the storm hits. Go fill the gas tank, get some cash, and charge every single device you own immediately. Have you checked the pantry to make sure your family has enough food and meds tucked away? Please give your backup heaters a test run and make sure the air vents are clear. Now is the time to chat with your kin and neighbors so everyone knows the plan. On Monday, December 29th, the storm starts hammering the Great Lakes. Just stay cozy inside, keep off the roads, and watch the weather updates. By Tuesday, December 30th, the ice is going to be at its absolute worst up northeast. Be ready for the lights to flicker out and for your cell signal to drop. Wednesday, December 31st brings that biting Arctic wind and blinding snow. That is when things get real, as the temperature drops to dangerous lows. Come New Year's Day, we start digging out, but fixing everything will take weeks. You need to be ready to manage without the usual comforts for a good while. Through January 2026, this cold pattern isn't letting up. This is not just a one-day event. It is a long siege of winter weather. Adjust your mindset, prep harder, and keep your guard up for more trouble. Before I go, I want to leave you with a thought that could save a life. Nature is the boss out here, and she is tough on folks who aren't ready. But a little preparation gives you the upper hand when things go sideways. Knowledge keeps the panic away, so you can think clearly. We survive these things by sticking together, not by facing them alone. The grid might struggle, but our spirit and resilience don't have to. It is about helping your neighbors and checking on the folks who need it most. Honestly, that kindness is worth more than all the supplies in your basement. When the power comes back, don't forget the lessons this storm taught you. Winter always returns, and the weather is only getting wilder every year. Let's make being ready a lifestyle, not just a panic reaction. Stay sharp, help each other out, and never underestimate Mother Nature. We are looking at 3 feet of snow and 3/4 of an inch of ice. You have the timeline and the know-how to keep your loved ones safe now. The big question is, will you take action while the window is still open? Stay safe, stay warm, and I will be here tracking this beast as it develops. This is just the start of what could be the toughest winter in ages. But with some prep and community spirit, we will get through this together. Until then, watch the skies and trust that you have done your best.